Hello, I'm Mohsen Jamal and you watch Afghan News. The independent election body will review the ruling of a special court set up by President Hamid Karzai that overturned results for a quarter of the seats in the country's parliament. Karzai's palace said on Thursday it is an apparent back down by the Independent Election Commission after it last month rejected the special court and described its cancellation of results as unprofessional and non-transparent. The IEC will now review the special court decisions and compare them to its own ballot findings and will uphold any special court rulings it finds to be correct, Karzai's palace said in a statement. This is a special court established by a presidential decree after fraud-marred parliamentary elections last year ordered 62 lawmakers elected in the September poll to vacate their seats in the 249-seat parliament. Afghan and NATO-led troops fired rockets into Pakistan's northwest tribal region of North Waziristan on Friday, causing no injuries, reports said. Residents were quoted as saying that around 18 mortar shells landed near a Pakistani checkpost at Ghulam Khan border area, aiding Pakistani force return fire. The incident took place a day after Pakistani, Afghan and NATO military officials met in the Pakistani northwestern city of Peshawar to discuss preventing repeat of cross-border fighting. President Karzai's office said in Kabul that Pakistani Prime Minister Yusuf Raza Gailani had agreed in telephone conversation with President Karzai on the establishment of a joint military commission to address problems emerged on the Afghan and Pakistani border. Pakistani police and paramilitary troops were ordered on Friday to shoot on site in its largest city, Karachi, after up to 70 people were killed in 3 days of ethnic and political violence. Shops and fuel stations were shut and public transport idled after the city's dominant political party, the Muttahida Qawmi movement, announced a day of mourning in response to the latest surge in violence in the country's financial and commercial hub. Sharjeel Maimun, the provincial information minister, said that orders have been issued to the security forces to shoot anyone involved in violence on this spot, adding that in addition to the police and rangers, another 1,000 personnel of the frontier constabulary will be deployed in the city to control the violence. Karachi Police Chief Saud Mirza said 63 people had died in the violence since Tuesday, with around 150 injured, while Maimun said 70 people had been killed in violence. Karachi, home to more than 80 million people, has a long history of ethnic, religious and sectarian violence. Iran is directly supporting extremist Shiite groups that are killing U.S. troops in Iraq, and any agreement to keep American forces there beyond the end of the year would have to address the problem, the top U.S. military officer said on Thursday. Admiral Mike Mullen, chairman of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff, is speaking at a luncheon with reporters, said Iranians were providing Iraqi Shiite groups with high-tech rocket-assisted weapons and shaped explosives effective at penetrating armor. He said Iran made a conscious decision in 2008 to curb its involvement in Iraq, but had now resumed sending supplies to extremist groups. Mullen said he believed any agreement to keep U.S. troops in Iraq beyond the end of the year has to be done in conjunction with control of Iran in that regard, adding that Baghdad was aware of U.S. concerns about the issue. Yemeni President Ali Abdullah Saleh, his face burnt and his hands covered with bandages, has appeared on television for the first time since he was wounded in a bomb attack on his palace in Sana'a. Saleh, hospitalized in Saudi Arabia after the June 3rd attack, said he had undergone more than 8 successful operations and called for dialogue in his speech broadcast on Yemeni television on Thursday. In his brief address recorded in Saudi Arabia, he said those who have sought to drive him from power had an incorrect understanding of democracy. Saleh also thanked Abrabu Mansour Hadi, the vice president, for his efforts in bridging gaps between all political parties. Several thousand Egyptians have gathered in Cairo's Tahrir Square to protest what they say is a slow pace of government reforms and justice for the victims of a crackdown on pro-democracy demonstrations earlier this year. Protesters pitched tents Friday in the middle of the square, the epicenter of the protest that toppled former Egyptian leader Hosni Mubarak in February. The rally follows several legal decisions that have angered some Egyptians who say trials of former officials are not transparent enough and are not moving fast enough. Earlier this week, hundreds of protesters in Suez attacked a courthouse and police station after a judge upheld the release on bail of 7 police officers charged with killing demonstrators during the uprising that ousted Mr. Mubarak. NATO has denied the Libyan government's charge that it intentionally carried out air raids to aid rebel advances, saying it is sticking to UN mandate to protect civilian lives. Wing Commander Mike Bracken, an alliance spokesman in Naples, Italy, said on Friday that NATO is not involved in the ground battles, but acknowledged that NATO is tracking the fighting between Libyan opposition fighters and forces loyal to Muammar Gaddafi. The country's longtime leader, Khalid Kayyem, Libya's deputy foreign minister, accused NATO on Thursday of intensifying its bombing campaign and backing foreign armed force to lay the groundwork for an advance by rebels trying to topple Gaddafi's government. This comes as rebels wrested the town of Al-Khawalish in western Libya from Gaddafi forces after a roughly 6-hour battle on Wednesday. Syria has accused Washington of interfering in its affairs by sending its ambassador to the country to the restive western city of Hama without proper security clearance. Robert Ford toured the city on Thursday to show solidarity with residents facing a security crackdown after weeks of demonstrations against Bashar al-Assad, Syria's president. The U.S. State Department said its embassy had informed the Syrian government that a diplomatic team without naming Ford was traveling to the city and said Ford hoped to stay until Friday. This comes as about 1,000 people have fled Hama, fearing another military crackdown on protests calling for the ousting of al-Assad's regime, the London-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights has said. And that's all for now. Thanks for staying with us.